Welcome back to Legit Bat. I'm Joe. Jen's here. Ben's here. Lene is also here. Yay, everybody's here. Our guests tonight are... Hang on, let me put your display names up before it. There. Marianne and Emily from WTFrick Live. They're fellow Forbidden Knowledge Network people. And so this is the first time we get to talk with them. But they've been on Macroaggressions. You've been on Chris's show too, right? FKN?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought I heard you.
I heard no. Did y'all hear no? I heard no.
It's probably Ben. He's frozen.
Yeah, I heard someone say no.
Maybe he said, "Oh no," and he froze.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that wasn't just us. Awesome.
No, you're just frozen. It's fine.
Yeah.
So why don't you guys start out letting us know about your show and what you guys do over there at WTFrick Live?
Well, we have shows every Wednesday and Friday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We interview anybody and everything that makes you think, what the frick is going on? We just finished our October set, which was a lot of paranormal things, but we interview anybody from politics to weird and kooky inventions, Discovery Channel, Netflix documentary people. We get a lot of those. We're getting ready to have the Bloombergs on next month. This month. Gosh, it's already November. Where did October go from? This month they have the show on Discovery Plus. We bought a funeral home. So just all kinds of weird, interesting people that makes you think, what the heck is going on? And normally our main show is Friday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Our Wednesday night shows are like part twos, or somebody that needs to reschedule, or if something's going on that's major and I reach out to the person and they want to be booked instead of being booked 2 months out or something. I get them on a Wednesday night. So nice. The show's been around for about 5 years. I had to take a break. I lost everything. April 2021, lost my YouTube, lost everything, got super censored, lost Facebook, lost TikTok. It's under an investigation, everybody. There was like 21 of us that were targeted. This goes through TikTok. If you look up Woke Capone, that's what we call this group, Woke Capone. They call it a cyber domestic terrorist group that might be paid to target. I had almost 1 million followers on TikTok, but I was posting a lot of political topics at that time. I had myself in the videos. I don't do any of that anymore. There's some people that still fighting the Woke Capone. I'm not. I'm just staying silent until we get this, maybe possibly a lawsuit going. But I woke up one day, lost YouTube, Facebook, TikTok. We had about 8.6 thousand followers on YouTube at the time. Lost it all and got super depressed. Tried to start it back up. It wasn't going anywhere. Then I took 9 months off. And in the meantime, I met Marianne. And then we started it back up in June. So brand new. Coming back.
Well, we're doing really well. We're doing well.
We're doing really well starting back up.
Well, and now
super talented.
Mm-hmm.
And now you guys know a lot of the trade craft of the business, so it's kind of like riding a bicycle. Granted, with that, barring the censorship,
yes,
you guys do know a little bit about how it is. I know when Joe first really got into reaching out to people and trying to pull people on and this, that, and the other, he had an in from him and Jen being fans from a lot of the podcasts that now we affiliate with and consider our friends. But you got that boot in the door now, so it's kind of like good to see you guys good to see you back on the horse. That's a tough hit.
It was very tough.
I can't imagine. But
I'm thankful I saw Marianne. I met Marianne through another network. We were on the Fashion News Lifestyle Network, FNL Network, and that's how I met her. And then I just had a desire to start this back up, and I thought Marianne would be the perfect host. I hate to say co-host with her, but host to come in because we clicked so well. And I'm thankful for her, and she's been super faithful and everything. Every Friday night, it's kind of hard to keep somebody there at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. She's been there, and I'm thankful for her.
It's fun. Mm-hmm. I'm thankful for you too.
Yeah,
we've become really close, and we talk probably every day.
Yeah,
even though we're states away. I'm in North Carolina on a farm, and Emily's in Kentucky.
Yeah,
I couldn't tell.
Not in the farm.
You couldn't tell?
I was just making fun of your accents. No big deal.
Oh, see, so do I actually have one?
Yes,
a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
They used to make me say the light is bright tonight, And I used to want to be a news anchor. I think I have the hair and everything for a news anchor. And they told me I would have to have extensive speech therapy classes to get that news anchor voice because that Appalachia hick.
I knew that's what they did. I was just saying that the other day. I was listening to a news broadcast not on regular TV, on YouTube or something. But I'm like, these people learn how to speak somewhere because they all fucking sound the same.
Mhm.
They're all, and then Dave.
Yeah, you can't have an accent in any way, shape, or form because it has to reach the most amount of people. And if your accent turns off a group of people,
but then it turns into a news
so.
anchor accent. It's like, I don't trust you automatically because you sound like that.
I know, but you notice that. Most people wouldn't notice the absence of something. Most people notice the presence of something.
No,
so
it'd be better to have
the absence of an accent is something that's almost undetectable.
It'd be better to have someone like Joe Rogan do like a CNN headline, where he's just like, and then this fucking guy, and then, he fucking shit on his face. And like, I would watch that CNN. I don't know whether I would.
I would do it because it just said shit on his face. But
well, I could totally.
I'd be like, wait, where did this go?
Accent.
This guy got into a fight. Oh, what is he doing? His form's all wrong. What a fucking pussy. Like, I could totally see him just shitting on the whole thing. And that would be super entertaining. I would watch that as well.
While hitting a joint mid-broadcast?
Fuck yeah. If we had people that were on our newscast that were like, you know what? We're going off script. We're just going to tell you things the way that we see them.
But the people that do that are fired.
Absolutely.
Every single one of them are fired. Like this one guy stuck up for a woman that she finally voiced her opinion in the news, and they fired her. Then he goes and he goes, rogue off the script, and he sticks up for her, and they fire him too. This just happened recently in one of these news channels.
So speaking of people being dropped and canceled and all that, the biggest headline lately, and we talked about a little bit before the show, but with your Yeezy for President shirt, what do you have to say about that whole thing? Because for anybody who's been living under a rock and doesn't have any kind of social media, Kanye, now called Ye or Yee, whatever. I'm just going to call him Kanye for ease of saying things. He came out on a podcast called Drunk Brothers or some, I don't know, some fucking thing. And he was making anti-Semitic comments, basically saying the Jews rule the world and his handlers are Jewish and all this stuff. But I think for most of us that listen to that, we're a little bit of a different takeaway. I think he was talking about the elites and, whatever. I don't really care what he said, but the funny part was that Adidas dropped him and they were started by two Nazis. It's just the whole irony of the situation is amazing. So what do you guys think about that?
Marianne, I'll let you go first because I talk a lot. See what you have to say about.
I don't know. I've never really been a fan. I'm just going to be honest. I've never really been a fan of him. I can't blame people for dropping him. But if he was, so you said anti-Semitic, like anti-Jewish, that's what he was talking about?
Something like that. I mean, I listened to it, but I was kind of half listening because he sounded like a drunk dude at a party that I'm kind of half listening to. So.
I don't see I honestly never saw what was so great about him. Like
his music sucks. I'm going to come out and say it.
Yeah. I mean,
I run to his music though. Like, he has got a good beat to run to. I'll say that. I run when I run to his music.
I'm just not a fan. But yeah, talking about the elites and a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, I would not be surprised.
Well, it's just weird because they demonized him real fucking quick after he wore a Make America Great Again hat, said he backed Trump. He was fine with the ruling elites, whatever, until that point. And then they're like, all right, fuck this guy. We have it out for him now. We're going to make him look crazy. And he's doing a great job of making himself look crazy by himself. But the fact that the focus is on it is kind of telling too. Emily, go ahead. I know you're chomping at the bit of it.
Oh, I am. Because this goes a lot deeper than what people might think. I do have a bachelor's and a master's degree in Christian education. I went to seminary, accredited school. I have a minor in theology. What he's pointing out, there's two sets of Jewish people. There's the Jewish lineage from the line of Jacob. Then there's the European Jews. That's the counterfeit of the Jews. These European Jews are the ones that are taking over the world. That's a total counterfeit. That's anti-God. That's anti-Jesus. It's anti-all this. And they are running these corporations. And he's pointing that out. It's not
Zionists, right?
Yes. It's not anti-Semitic like how we would think. It's not the Jews that were in the Nazi camps. That's the European Jews trying to destroy the bloodline of Jacob and Jesus in the Nazi camps. It's not those people. This is the ruling class. That's the elite. That's the Illuminati. That is a counterfeit of what God really intended the Jewish people to be. So that's what he's calling out. And they want to present that he's crazy because it's also the spirit of like narcissism. When you start presenting the truth, and there's so much of it, when you get abused that way, it's hard to program. I hate to say program, but to push all that information out. So it's jumbled, it's mismatched, it doesn't match up. There's just so much. Once you start talking about one thing, it leads to another. And so it does make him sound crazy. I don't believe he's crazy. I believe he's trying to push the truth out there. And I think Aaron Carter actually was murdered. And I think it was a sign to Kanye to watch out, because his last tweet, Aaron Carter's last tweet on Twitter, this goes deep, everybody. In my mind.
I knew you would have a lot to share. So keep sharing.
So Aaron Carter's last tweet was like, "Hey Kanye, let's talk man to man," right? So this goes all the way back in the day with Michael Jackson and Clive Davis. And Clive Davis rules and reigns this music industry. Who was Clive Davis a godfather to? Whitney Houston's child, Bobby. The night before Whitney Houston died, who was Clive Davis with? Brandy, Ray J's sister. Brandy hands Whitney Houston a note. Whitney Houston sees Clive Davis, gives her a hug. Who was she also dating during that time? Ray J. So Whitney Houston dies in a tub, and Ray J can't go to the room. She gets this mysterious note from Brandy, sees him the night before. So then who is killing Michael Jackson? This is all, I'm hoping I can say this. This is the first time I've talked about it. So Michael Jackson says that Clive Davis is going to kill him the night before he dies. It's always the night before. So Clive Davis, and Michael Jackson said that over and over for many years, set him up, wish he never settled on that first sexual crime, whatever, with children. Wish he never settled, but he listened to his attorneys. He wished he fought it because it wasn't true. So I hope I can keep this all together. So if you go back and you remember, because this is my time era, this is most of our time eras, Aaron Carter, he did a interview about 5, 6, 7 years ago where he came back from staying at Michael Jackson's house, was met with 4 or 5 FBI agents in his house with his mother there. And you all have to know the financial backgrounds of his parents because they treated him like crap. Not so much Nick, but Aaron, they did. Stole all of his money, and wanted to question Aaron about being with Michael Jackson and wanting to sue Michael Jackson. And he kept saying, no, he never did anything to me. And they got mad and they kind of X'd him out after that. This is big. And I believe Clive Davis is behind all this. So we got Michael Jackson saying Clive Davis. We have the Whitney Houston, Clive Davis. We got Ray J and Brandy. Well, Ray J's connected to Kim Kardashian with the sex tape.
I know that. Okay, that's what it was. I was going to ask you who the fuck Ray J was. I remember hearing that name like a couple times 10 years ago, but I couldn't place the name.
So Aaron Carter, I think, this is my opinion and my conspiracy brain, put that out on Twitter, and that just X'd his grave. And it was a thing like, let's talk man to man, because Ray J, Michael, Clive Davis, Whitney Houston, all of this stuff is intertwined with each other. And when he put that out there, they X'd him. And the next thing we know, he was murdered. I didn't even know this happened. I took the screenshot of his last Twitter and I put it on my Twitter. I said, my next question, was he in a bathtub? ? I didn't even know. And he was in a bathtub. So
funny how often that pops up, isn't it?
The elite. And guess what? Clive Davis is Jewish.
Oh. Not that it matters, but it's part of the story.
It's Jewish.
So why leave it out?
Yes.
So they all run together.
The bathtub thing. What I could name a couple people. I think was it Whitney Houston. We were trying to figure that out earlier.
And maybe her daughter too.
And then Brittany Murphy, I think, died in the bathroom, and her boyfriend, her husband, and yeah, it's very strange.
Yeah.
Well, Brittany Murphy, I don't know if she's tied to Clive Davis or not. I haven't linked that. But what people don't know with Brittany Murphy, she was getting ready to testify in court about some things she saw that happened with Border Patrol that was pretty criminating on our border police, which was super corrupt, probably still is at the time. And it was like 2 days before she was going to testify in court, and she was murdered. And
what did she see? Do you know what she saw? Were they like letting in drug dealers and child sex traffickers or something?
Yeah, it was sex trafficking. Hold on, I think I have it on my website. I might not have published it yet. I always
Do you remember
and not published.
Do you remember what year this was?
The year she died was it 2012? How long ago was that? Brittany Murphy.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
There's a whole rabbit hole you can go down with Brittany Murphy and the house she moved into.
It was in 2009. 2009.
Oh, okay.
Let me just type in Border Patrol, Brittany Murphy.
Well, while you're looking that up, I had a question for you, because while we were talking about this, I know you guys are a part of FKN, and Corey Hughes has talked, a lot in his JFK research about the differences between Orthodox Judaism and Zionism. And he was actually the one that kind of put me on the trail of connecting all these dots back to 1890, World Summit, World's Fairs. They stopped. And again, I always have to put this disclaimer out there, not saying I believe in flat Earth, but it was the same year that they stopped putting flat Earth in the textbooks and started teaching the heliocentric model. And 1890, First World Summit, the majority of the leaders that, like you said, were European, that were getting together were basically part of a Zionist group, as he has been able to follow back into history. And when you look at what happened in World War I, which set the stage for World War II, Adolf Hitler obviously was a combatant in World War I, and there were many little things that happened politically and economically throughout those European countries that got tied back to Rockefellers and several of the other people that people know about that
United States.
Tied to it. So then you move into post-World War II, and you have this JFK assassination. He has been able to tie each one of them to an elite sect generally associated with Zionism. And he's like, this whole thing is all tied. When people are talking about the elites and, they're talking about, basically the men behind the curtain, they're not talking about your standardized, like Bill Gates, Elon Musk, although I'm sure that they are big pawns in the game, George Soros, those kind of people. No, these are people that you don't know the names to. Even the Rockefeller that we all know at the moment, he is probably just the forefront of what is everything behind him. So you have these people that are actually running the show in the background that you don't know the names of. And it's usually, I think he said, like 5 to 10 people. They're the ones pushing all of the economies. They're the ones pushing the wars. They're the ones that own the media. He's gone down the rabbit trail of, in the JFK assassination, post MK Ultra, post LSD trials, all of the stuff that happened from 1955 to 1975, JFK assassination, Vietnam War. You have all of these dots that have lined up with where the industry has been pushed. Now, you mentioned this in the rap community. Was it Clive? Or Clyde,
Davis.
sorry. Yeah. So there was a segment I saw. I don't believe it was Snoop Dogg, but it was another rapper from back in the 90s who basically said that they were, still street rapping. Nobody had really picked it up. It hadn't gotten socially acceptable yet. And he got invited out in, I think he said, Beverly Hills, to this really swanky home. He didn't know what it was for. They checked them for weapons before they went in. And when they went in, they had to sign a waiver before the meeting got started saying that they would not say anything. And they all signed the waiver, still not knowing what it is that they're there for. And basically, it was a bunch of heads of the music industry. And he said that they brought up this idea that, hey, we're going to start taking rap and pushing the criminality in it to try to influence people to basically buck the system on the lower levels, meaning just the standard people level. It's catchy. Wow. And if we can influence the words and influence the style,
division. That's what
correct.
They're doing.
And what they wanted to do was they wanted to pool people from prison to help fund this so that they couldn't have a paper trail. Wow. And so when they started doing this, a bunch of the guys that were in that room were like, nope. They ripped up their liability waiver and said, I want nothing to do with this anymore. I'm out of here. they left. So those people only knew a little bit about what was going on in that meeting, and they didn't really talk about anything illegal. They were just talking about an ideology. So he said he didn't know what happened after that, but within the next couple of years, you saw this kind of what was considered Indian underground movement of rap really explode onto the scene. And now you have hip hop and rap in almost every genre. You have it even in country now.
Yeah.
And all of this other stuff. And I'm like, if you follow the breadcrumbs down, which obviously it's very hard to do, especially in the quote unquote age of information and technology, because you have everything available at your fingertips, it also means you have every lie popping up in your face. Well, they control what it is that you see. So when you're searching up information, you don't know if the things popping up are valid sources or not, because those quote unquote valid sources may be bought. They may be a valid source to push whatever.
I can tell you how you can tell if it's a valid source or not. If you're looking at an internet article real quickly, I have a few degrees. All right. I was a professional student in my 20s. Okay, everybody. I did not know what my life was going to do. All right. But if you look at a source on the internet, if it just says a group name on there, like, I don't know, we'll just throw the Republican group or something on there, doesn't have a time stamp on it, that's a fake news. Real Raw News is fake news, everybody. It's satire and parody. Stop quoting Real Raw News. And you have to look these places up because they have to register themselves as satire or parody. People are posting these tribunals from Real Raw News pretending like Hillary Clinton and all these people's been down at Gitmo. And you have to, how you know it's authentic is it has a author's name to it, first and last name, and it has a date and a timestamp because that person's held accountable for that article. So that's what's real. And it can't be a fake name. It can't be that now they can list a group name. They don't even have to list a name. If it just has a time date and a stamp on it, or like 11/6/2022 and a time date, nothing else, it's probably a fake article. Don't go by that. But I want to talk about what you were talking real quickly because with Kanye, he came back for a moment of time call and he referenced himself as the artist. So that's when he started coming back and referenced himself as the artist, he was actually deflecting back to the contracts that they would sign, which they, under the signature of the contracts, they never listed the person's real name, Kanye or whoever. They just labeled them as the artist. So we got Eminem that just came out. There were words that they were not allowed to even speak. They weren't allowed to say Jesus in these rap. It had to be certain genres and violence and drugs and all that kind of stuff. They weren't allowed to say anything, the light, Jesus. There was like 5 or 6 things. Well, Eminem just broke away from that contract. Look this up. And his release, his new song that just came out. Now, whether or not this is true, I don't know. It just came out. He's declaring Jesus as his savior, and he's rapping about Jesus a lot. He broke away from that contract, which Kanye said about last year, maybe a year ago, that there was going to be somebody that's coming up and he's going to be able to say Jesus again. I don't know if you all saw that he was in white. They had like a church meeting. Marilyn Manson was there. Actually, Eminem was there. And he said, we're getting ready to have the artist come out and proclaim Jesus and all this kind of stuff. And a year later, Eminem's, I'm not into hip hop, everybody. Don't think that I am. I don't sit around listening to this stuff. I am not a rapper in Kentucky. All right. So maybe I can spit some freestyle out here in a little bit. Let me drink a little bit more Jack and Coke, and I'll get you some rhymes out. But if you look at his album that just came out and the cover of it, there's a lot of stuff there that we need to be analyzing. Numbers, all kinds of hidden messages in Eminem's cover album. And they use music. This is my opinion. I'm going to get spirituality, and I can't believe I'm talking this long. Marianne, you need to talk next. Okay, this is it. Marianne's talking.
What?
So from a Christian spiritual standpoint, from where I'm coming from, Lucifer was the praise and worship leader in the heavens. His breastplate was a harp. He played all these instruments. There's one instrument he was not allowed to play, and that was the shofar, the trumpet. All right. So it makes a lot of sense that he would use the entertainment industry, especially the music industry, to manipulate the minds. Yes, there we go. Yeah,
The audio listeners,
help me. Somebody message me. Let's decipher this. There's a lot going on here.
So yeah, for the audio listeners, real quick, look up Eminem's new album cover, Curtain Call 2. Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff in here. Like I don't even know where to start. Holy shit.
I don't either. Look at even in the back.
This previous album is called Music to be Murdered By, which is really interesting too. That came out in 2020. That's what I found when I just looked it up. And then this one came up too. But
yeah, I looked one up as well.
Super weird. Music to be Murdered By. Like it seems like he might have a little bit of insight.
I mean, this
being
was
as deep
overt.
as he is in the game.
It says that in the song, not only is he, saying that Jesus is a savior, but it also says that it was a collaboration. One name I was not surprised by with Kanye West, but the one that I was surprised by was that it was also a collaboration with DJ Khaled.
DJ Khaled, yeah.
And I was like, I didn't see that. Okay, first of all, Kanye West, yeah, I could see that. He was known, I think it was back in like 2015, for going on 20-minute rants in the middle of his sets all over the United States. And it didn't make him look all that sane to most of the people that paid money to go there and hear his album. So that part, with what he has been saying basically since then, I'm not surprised that this particular song with M is in a collaboration with Kanye. But the fact that it's Eminem doing it and it's also a collaboration with DJ Khaled, I find that very out of the blue.
We got to look into this. And just real quick with that, with Kanye, in my opinion, I believe we're seeing true spiritual warfare. And if you know anything about the Illuminati, the Kardashians, like they have a huge, they are, but I don't know. I can't remember. I can't reference this, but back in the day when I first started reading about the Illuminati, this is probably back in 2015 or something, 16. I remember that they had to sacrifice when they got truly in trouble. They had to sacrifice sexuality. So remember when Kim Kardashian got robbed in Spain or Europe, wherever she was over there. And so then Kanye went into this silent mode and was meeting with all these different people and things. And even Trump was part of that. He met with Trump. Well, shortly after that, Bruce came out and said that he was going to be changing to Caitlyn Jenner. Was he a sacrifice? Because Kanye's mom died just from a normal plastic surgery thing. Did he sacrifice his mother? Like, this is so deep with me. I have questions a lot. Like, I think this is a lot deeper with Aaron Carter and all this stuff. I think it was a sign to Kanye, like, you're next, buddy. And if I was Kanye right now, I wouldn't trust any of my friends. I would not be taking a drink from anyone. I would be getting my own drinks at the grocery store or something.
So you think that somebody...
Go ahead, Mary.
Sorry. So, Emily, I know that you'll have an opinion on this. So you think that somebody in Kanye's inner circle is likely to... Yeah. And so it's probably somebody, if Aaron was murdered, you would say it was somebody in his inner circle as well that he would have trusted.
That or Clive Davis had FBI show up at his house and they drowned him and then they gave him drugs to make it look like a drug overdose, because that's what they do with sex trafficking victims, women, especially that we make labels prostitutes or something. They show up, they don't ever classify it as a murder because it's left like they had a drug overdose, and nobody investigates it fully when they see the drugs lined out, just like Whitney Houston.
Well,
yeah, I've heard a lot of people talking about hang on, Ben, just real quick. If Kanye were to suddenly get shot in the back of the head and hung from a electrical cable or something,
or doorknob,
that it would be way too obvious. But I'm like, dude, everything is now. I don't think they give a fuck anymore. They can just do this shit. And like, what are we gonna do about it? Talk about it? Oh, anyway, Ben, sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine. That goes right along with it. It's the idea that. And this is, I was going to say this earlier, but I didn't want to, I don't want to break up your super good role that you were on, Emily. When you said,
now you did.
Always break up my goodness. Go ahead. It's all right. I don't care.
When you were mentioning that you can tell if it's a real article because it's the first, last name, date, and time, I'm going to call bullshit. And here's why. Because I don't think they give a fuck. I don't think that they care if their real name is there. I don't care if they date and time it. Who's going to hold them accountable? The news networks? I think that they're the
Project Veritas is going to hold them accountable. That's who's going to hold them accountable.
If they're lucky. But my thing is like to Joe's point, they can do whatever the hell they want. And as long as nobody's there, which they make sure happens, they're the ones collecting the evidence that they made. So we're supposed to
blackmail.
Well, it's blackmail, but it's also 100% a cover-up. If they're killing people, they're going to make it look like it wasn't them. They're going to make it also look like it wasn't somebody else, because they can't falsely accuse somebody that's not, although that's happened, but they can kill somebody by hanging them by a doorknob or suiciding them with a double tap to the back of the head, which I'm not really sure if you can get another trigger pull off that way. But I completely agree.
It'd be really fast.
It'd be real fast. Yeah.
Well, that's why Kanye is showing the receipts. His trainer, Harvey, was like, we can do two things. We can either talk man to man, have an adult discussion, or we can institutionalize you again and drug you, and your kids will never be the same. And Kanye is taking these screenshots and putting them out there. I think that's what happened to Aaron Carter all these years. They tried to get him with Michael Jackson. They drugged him over and over. He got back into that addiction lifestyle. Then they try to make him look crazy, try to make him look like he was on drugs. They've done this over and over. Brittany Murphy's another one, Whitney Houston. All of these people, when they start posting anything about maybe possibly Kanye might be suicidal, that should be a red flag to everyone. Any star at this point that might be suicidal should be a red flag, because they're trying to set that up to where this person, if they find him dead by drugs or hanging, it would go along with that story scheme that they're putting out there. But again, I agree. It could be anybody's name, but I'm just going to tell you, I can't tell you if it's a direct, authentic online post. But I'm just going to tell you, it's a good thing if it's a first and a last name, a date stamp, and a day. There's a lot of articles. Go through it all. You will see no names associated. You'll see just a group of people, like a group name on there. There's no date stamp. So I can't tell if it's absolutely authentic. I didn't write it myself and tell you, yes, I did that. But if it's a first name, last name, date stamp, date time, it has more legitimacy than something else, like real raw
This
news.
reminds me of, so Planet Retard, we do this additional show on Sundays called Planet Retard, where we'll cover articles, and I call out bullshit on AI written articles all the time. Like when we bring articles, I'm like, dude, this is not real.
If you do that, I'm invite myself. I always invite myself.
So, you totally
I would love to be on Planet Retard.
So I've never heard, though, the name of date stamp. I've never heard that before, but it's just based on the content of the article is how I base my judgment, where if they repeat the same thing over and over again, they're reiterating the same point, but it's just worded a little bit differently, hammering down the same thing, paragraph after paragraph, and then there's no real story. And then also the concept kind of makes no sense, but it does just enough to be like, this might be real, but it hooks people in. And then to me, I'm like, nope, that's a fake fucking story. Fuck you. I'm not buying it.
A really retarded reporter, which is also possible. So it's hard to tell.
Yeah. Hold on. Here's something that people don't get either. And I'm going to let Marianne talk. Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm going to let Marianne talk. Here's something else that people don't get.
You're on a roll.
So when you're reading these articles, a lot of time when it's satire and parody articles, they actually have blue letters highlighted like a hyperlink to these things. You can click on those and it takes you to the real article that you find out that's not even associated to that article. And that's the true story. People don't even click anymore. People are retard.
Right.
I can just say retard. They don't.
You can totally say that. It's okay.
Okay.
We know you're
not talking about. I have degrees in education. Like I think of.
No, I used to work with kids with autism. I'm not supposed to say the R word, but we do have Planet Retard, and I can't help it. Sorry, but no, I do the same thing. Where the reason that I even read these articles is because I would scroll through Yahoo News. Our listeners all know this. Yahoo News on purpose because it's the worst one. It's the worst site for the worst articles. And I'd scroll through and there's so much clickbait. And if you click on it, the article is sometimes completely different than what the clickbait is. But the way the article is, I can tell the type of person they're geared towards. Like they want that person to be like terrified or like, what's going on with this other side? They want that division or they want fear, whatever it is. I mean, maybe they're, the same thing, but they want that person who's reading it to be like, yes, this is definitely true. And it makes me feel a certain way. And I'm very angry or very divided or whatever it is. And when you read the article, it's like, this is dumb as fuck. Did you actually read this? You fucking moron.
No. They only read the headliners. That's what they do on TikTok too.
Well, Jen's really good about seeing a headline and like skim reading it and going, oh my God, this is so fake. I have to read it. So it'll be something stupid too. It'll be like, dog poops on man's face and he's cured of cancer. And she's like, that's it. I got to read that one.
Anytime with poop is good.
Poop is good. Poop's the best.
Poop is never not funny. We have to do that.
I've got the poop emoji coffee cup, so I mean, come on.
You know,
we have a couple
it's her coffee. Her coffee does it to her.
Yeah, we have listeners that think poop and farts aren't funny, and I always say I disagree. So I got to do it at least once a show, just get it out of my system. So to speak.
They're great.
Yeah.
Well, Marianne's turn now. We're going to talk about poop.
Oh God, poop. What about poop? I mean, what do you want me to talk about? Poop?
No,
we totally can. We've actually done a couple episodes, very clinical episodes on poop. So don't.
I will tell you, my husband and I spent probably 2 hours today cleaning poop from our donkeys.
Donkeys, horses,
and our horses. So wasn't that? It was 4 wheelbarrows full.
Wow. You really do
that smell. I love that smell though.
What?
And I love the smell of a dead skunk too. It's so good.
You
what
really
the fuck is wrong with you?
Whoa.
Do you know what also
smells
like
over there, don't
Emily, do you know what also smells like a dead skunk?
What?
Weed.
Oh, well, then no wonder.
And I've never smoked it, but my husband educated me.
I'm a proponent for that. I have smoked it. So.
Marianne, you've never smoked weed? That's crazy. Neither have I.
And I'm 36. You haven't. Okay. But my husband has a lot when he was younger, so he's educated me on the smell. And so now every time I smell that,
so now you are a connoisseur.
I haven't smoked it, but I've smelled it from like some family that lives next door, and I know they do it, and I'm like,
I love good secondary weed smell.
They got the good stuff, don't they? And he'll be like, yep.
It's funny though because
there is a distinct difference between the smell of weed and skunk, and if you have done the weed, then you know the smell of the skunk, and it's like, nope, that is fucking skunk's asshole. It's not weed.
No, I don't know about that. I classify them both in the same.
Well, here's the thing: we live in California, so that smell is walking to Walmart on a Tuesday.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It's not a big deal. Some people will carry it around, and it's like a cologne. You just know where it's going.
I would love that.
But they have said that in small amounts, like when you just get a slight whiff of it, skunk, coffee, and weed all smell very similar depending on how strong it is.
Really?
If you just get a little, just like that,
see,
like when you're in the back room and somebody's brewing coffee in the morning and you kind of get that little whiff of it, it can smell like that, but don't look at me like that.
I will say my grandparents gave me a weed gummy.
Ever thought that?
A weed gummy?
I eat those all the fucking time.
They were little worms. They keep them on top. This is my 84-year-old granddad. He's like, go get you one off the top of the fridge. So I went on and got off the top of the fridge, and my husband was sitting there looking at me like, oh no. And I took it, and I was like, this is good.
Yeah.
And they keep them there at home.
I'm gonna trust this. Joe.
Did you enjoy the edible though? Because edibles have a very different reaction.
I slept good, and I felt silly.
That's all he does.
Can we talk about this?
I smoked weed my whole life, so I did not smoke weed till I was 36 years old, which
That's
is kind of
it's my turn.
Right. So there you go. I tried it twice as a teenager. I didn't like it, and then I it became legal in California in 2016, so we could buy it. And I was like, let's try it. We could try it. And Joe's like, yeah, I've smoked weed forever. Who cares? And I was like, I've never really done it. I want to. And we got super high and watched stand-up comedy and Tosh. And it was the best. I've never laughed harder or felt better. And I have nothing bad to say about weed now. I think everyone should do it.
And you don't
Not
get
when you're
paranoid.
driving.
So you don't get paranoid anymore. At least I don't, because it's not fucking illegal anymore. Like here, it's as common as smoking a cigarette on the street. Like nobody even bats an eye. So it's
where are you though? Where are you all? Are you in Colorado?
Northern California.
California, that's right. North Carolina. Or North Carolina. That's you, Marianne. North Carolina.
Well, and the
it's
funny,
not legal here yet.
well, and the funny part about
No,
those
we're in
gummies
Kentucky.
is that, again, not only is it super common here, but we have stores. We have pot stores. You can walk in and say, I want that pot in my pocket when I walk out, and you pay money and you walk out and you go and get high. So
and guess
what I
what?
started
Everybody
doing,
that works there, nicest people ever.
nicest people
Oh,
ever.
I'm sure.
They are
Everybody would be
blazed
nice if
as
everybody
fuck.
was on weed.
Yeah, so you walk in there, and I always buy the gummies. There's these little like square sour motherfuckers, and so I'll take one of those like 2 hours, like 2 hours before I got to go to bed.
She knows she ate some weed tonight. She ate some gummies tonight.
Like I'm face down. I'm face down in an hour, just fart dust. I'm good until the morning.
Fart dust.
I'm a very
That's what's bad. Oh yeah, so Linnea has the tolerance of a rhinoceros. It's crazy.
She does.
Like I can't even believe how she still stands at her house sometimes when she.
I don't either.
Jesus. Like I would take half of that and be in bed asleep till like the next Thursday.
Never trust the quiet ones. Like the most quiet ones can handle the biggest things that's happening in life.
She's 5'5". She weighs $105, and that woman will start way before me. I will take one gummy, and she will still be on the bed looking at me like, "Ha, you're going to sleep." And I'm like, "How are you not?"
Ben's like, "How is it up there on that pedestal? I'm going to sleep now." No, the bad thing about the weed gummies though is that they are so tasty that you just want to eat all of them, and then you eat and you're like.
So what we did when we got gummies, we would get.
I think you all should make your own.
And then
legit gummies.
You have to buy a bag of regular gummy bears too.
Yes.
So that you can have the regular gummy bears next to you. You eat the weed gummy, and then you can just mow down on some Haribo gummy bears
because they are just sugar bullshit poison instead of weed. It's way better for you.
Because all you want to do is eat candy and bullshit. Sorry.
Well, I would love that. And my weed guy, his name is Ray Rodriguez. So
Ray.
Ray. We call him Ray Ray. He's my weed guy.
You have a.
You should call him Ray J.
Yeah, but it's but he makes brownies and suckers is what he makes. And it's the best ever. And I hate to rain on anyone's parade with this because I love it. I want to put a red flag out. Can I put a red flag out real quick?
Red flag is out.
State approval is great. State approval. Now, Joe Biden's been posting about this on Twitter and stuff that they were wanting to try to make it legal federally. If they make it legal federally, it gives them a right to take away whoever has medical marijuana, prescription, all that, your guns. So look that up, research that. It that is classified under being part of the regulations. I think if they can't take our guns one way, they're going to take it another way. And I don't mean everybody got really sad when I said that. So just pop that in there real quick. Now let's talk about something happy.
No, my first thought was good fucking luck.
Well,
we've got them in every corner in this house.
Have the medical prescription and not just, I'm walking into a store because I'm in an
we don't have to have those here.
They keep that your medical prescription and everything. And where I worked in medical field for 13 years, your medical prescription will go in there. They can get that information.
On
file governmentally, and they can find out who has those prescriptions and if you have guns, and they can take that away from you.
Okay, so they will differentiate that versus just not having an actual medical prescription and still being able to go into a store. So it will be different. Okay.
I think it will be. I think it's going to be a way that they are going to take away our guns.
Well, so out here it's recreational, so you don't have to have a prescription or a medical use out here at all.
Yeah.
Well, that's
but if they make it federal,
federal, it's going to be a total different thing. And you might see police officers and stuff pulling you all over there. It's going to be bad if they make it federal.
Well, that's where the libertarian in me comes out, and I'm like,
I know,
a
I'm
plant
libertarian
in ground shouldn't have
even
anything
federal
to do with
things.
the government. Let me have my plants and do what the fuck I want.
We grow
with
our
them.
own, and
Well,
honestly,
medicine shouldn't have anything to do with the government. Medicine shouldn't have anything to do with the government. Period. It's our choice. No matter
Go ahead,
what.
Jen. Jen, I wanted to hear what you wanted to say. What you were going to say.
I was just going to say, if they make weed legal federally, that would fucking terrify me, because then they can put whatever the fuck they want in it, and I wouldn't trust it at all. I wouldn't buy it anywhere.
Just grow it. Yeah.
If it was federally regulated, I'd be like, cool. Well, I don't buy medicine anymore because that's federally regulated. So nope.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I think that that's a double whammy too, because for the same reason, like my parents, super Baptist, and they were, when all of the stuff about it getting legalized in 2016, my dad said, or I think actually it was mom, she was like, oh, the potheads got their way, now weed's illegal. And the first thing I said to my mom was, first of all, two things. One, who cares? Second, it's not the potheads voting. You think potheads are registered to vote? Get out of here.
Probably not.
3, I said they don't want to legalize it. I said the second that it's legalized, it's taxed. The second
And
that
regulated.
Well, they want that federally. They want that. They want everything to
That's
be
where
taxed.
I was.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking up an article
if it happens
too.
federally, it's the same thing. It's the same thing as like with cigarettes. It started out that it was 18, and then it was 21 in the state of California. Then it became federal. So it used to be that you could still go onto a military base if you were, a service member packing around an M4 getting ready for deployment to kill people. You could go onto a military base in a state that it was 21 and over and still buy them for 18 because it wasn't federal yet. Now it's federal. Now, I mean, along with inflation, it's $12 a pack out here in California. It is astronomically expensive. So you do that to weed, the first thing that they're going to do is they're going to follow the money, which is what everybody should do whenever you're looking at incentive. As soon as it goes federal and everyone starts buying it from collectives, they can see who's buying it outside. It means the pot dealers who all of a sudden see a big spike in revenue, if they're dumb enough to go put it in a bank account or it's not a money trail of how they earned it, now they know who's growing it on the side, and now they can catch the people, which again is more regulation. Now they control all the weed. Like it's a step process. Everybody acts like these major laws that get turned, whether it be Second Amendment or anything else that you want to argue, is this overnight thing. It's like, no, it's like boiling a frog in water. You don't put it into the hot water. You put it in cold water and slowly turn up the temperature. And nobody ends up seeing it happening. I am all for just legalizing all of it. If you want to go shoot up heroin, fucking go. Go ahead. Die in the streets. It's not on me. And if you end up hurting somebody else in the process, okay, well, if you're not already dead, now you are going to be dead because now your bad choices affected somebody else. But it's the same thing with guns. You want to own guns and be a law-abiding citizen? I think you should be allowed to. But if you use that gun to go kill someone else, we kill you. That's part of the law. At least it should be.
Well,
Capital punishment should be that.
What is the gun regulation too? What is it? You can't be 21 to have a automatic. What's it called? The machine.
Well, we can't have those in California anyway.
Till you're 21, but then you can sign up and be in the military at the age of 18. Like that
right, you can't own a handgun before 21 either. You can own a long rifle between the ages of 18 and 21, but you can't. But it has to be semi-automatic. At least over here in California, it has to be a 10-round magazine. Other states, it doesn't. You have to have special licensing in any state federally to be able to get a fully automatic weapon, or you go to a special shop that has those licenses so that you can shoot them on their range. But per the federal law, you have to be 18 to buy a long rifle, a shotgun. There's all these other bylaws about how much ammunition you can have in it, but it has to be semi-automatic or pump. And then you have to be 21 to be able to buy a handgun. So at that age, which is, again, ridiculous because, to your point, you can go in the military and shoot a fully automatic 1,000 round box round. I'm getting my words tangled. I sound like that guy, Clipazine.
Okay, I get it. I get the same way. Yeah.
You can go over there and you can shoot a 27-pound machine gun that has 1,000 rounds in a box magazine and it's fully automatic. And you can burn up the barrel, and that's what you get trained on. But if you step outside base, you're not even allowed to buy a handgun. Yet you're packing one on base because that's your job as a
Well, you
military
can't
police
drink
or a master
either.
at
We
arms.
talked about that a
The
million
Bureau
times.
of Alcohol,
Military,
Tobacco, and
can't drink.
Fire ATF is alcohol, tobacco, and firearms.
Yep. It's fucking
So-
dumb.
Which is a weird mix.
Yeah.
But
Sounds like a party.
this is the Gun Control Act of 1968 that says unlawful user of or an addicted to any controlled substance. Any person who uses or is addicted to marijuana, regardless of whether his or her state has passed legislation authorizing marijuana used for medical purposes. It is unlawful user or as classified addicted to controlled substance and is prohibited by federal law from possessing firearms or ammunition. This is how the federal government is going to get people. Mark my words on it. Mark my words. They pass this. You all take marijuana. They will find a way to take your guns away. Mark.
I think I don't know. I disagree with that, and here's why.
Well, that's what is written in the documents under the federal legislation.
I'm not contesting that. I'm not contesting that
Okay.
that's what they're going to pass it. But at what point do you stand up to tyranny? And everybody's line is different.
Everybody's
so
watching Q drops is what's happening. It's the biggest CIA freaking it ticks me off.
I'm sorry, but if you're watching Q drops, you're not doing our
it's all
side
part
of
of
the
the
aisle any
plan.
favors.
It's all part of the plan, Ben. All right, that's
Oh,
all this is part of the plan. It's CIA.
I'm not
mind
saying that there
control
isn't a plan.
to
I'm
keep
saying that
complacency is what it is. Nobody's fighting. Like I have family. My dad's back here. He was a Screaming Eagle, 101st in Vietnam. All right, military. All right, there's his eagle patch on the side. Military. My family fought for our country and our rights. No one's fighting. Everybody's lazy. Everybody's sitting at home at their computers watching for Q drops. And I told my dad this: if QAnon, thinking from a business point of view, has been silent for a while, everybody's going back and referring to these things. If I was Q, if I was CIA, I would drop when the Supreme Court leaked the Roe versus Wade in May. I told my dad, no joke, on the back of their porch, this is going to happen. They're going to overturn Roe versus Wade. If I was CIA and if I was a Q person, I would drop the day they overturned. And what happened? Q dropped to keep people complacent. And the funding and the following of Q is absolutely phenomenal. But nobody listens to Kash Patel and stuff on these other podcasts that we do, because Kash Patel and all of them say we only use Q for marketing purposes because it's such a big draw. And they use it for business purposes to keep people tied in, but they don't absolutely support Q. It's a CIA mind control operation. I guarantee it. So that's
It's
what's
just weird to me
happening.
that people say, "Oh, I support Q" or something. I'm like, you're literally supporting something that is anonymous by definition on a random site that, I mean, a lot of people use, but a lot of people have never even heard of.
4chan.
And it's random fucking person or CIA, or it could be a bot or a fucking AI, whatever, that's just out there posting this shit, and you're supporting that with zero knowledge of who's behind that. Why? I don't understand that. You're supposed to be the people questioning this stuff, and you're just like, no,
They
not
don't.
Q sent me.
I've gone to war on TikTok, especially with these Q people, and I got blocked and banned and all kinds of stuff with Q. I'm like, you all are it's brainwashing. Why? It's a cult. It's a cult. And when the Democrats, or if you want to talk about Democrats, or left side comes up and says Q is a cult, I agree with them. I can't oppose that.
Well, that's actually been something that, to go back to what we said in an earlier conversation, and fuck the two-party system and all that stuff. It's funny because you have these what used to be adjectives that now, if you say the one, it describes you as the other. It used to be that there were conservative Democrats and liberal Republicans, and that didn't demonize you. And as a matter of fact, if you talk to anybody that's our parents' age, a little bit older, maybe a little bit younger, they would all say, like, it was a political thing. You didn't mix the morals. You didn't mix what was going on in there with politics. This is about policy. This is about virtually standing at what our nation is going to do. Everybody had different ideas, but you'd all go out to lunch together. The cabinets would get together. They would vote on something. They would respect the vote. And then they'd go out to fucking lunch and be like, you know what? The people spoke. We had an idea. You guys had a different idea. They voted on it. Let's see if yours works because yours won. Now it's this thing where you can't say even that you agree with a policy, but you can't say, even that you agree with a policy, but you can't say, even that you agree with a policy, but you can't say, even that you agree with a policy, but you can't say, even that you agree with a policy, but you can't say, even that you agree with a policy, but you can't say, even that you agree with a policy, but you can't say, even that you agree with a policy, but you can't say, even that you agree with a policy, but you can't say, even that you agree with a policy, but you can't say, even that you agree with a policy, but you can't say, even that you agree with a policy, but you can't say, even that you agree with a policy, but you can't say, even that you agree with a policy, but you can't say, even that you agree with a policy, but you can't say, even that you agree with a policy, but you can't say, even that you agree with a policy, but you can't say, even that you agree with a policy, but you can't say, even that you agree with a policy, but you can't say, even that you agree with a policy, but you can't say, even that you agree with a policy, but you can't say, even that you agree with a policy, but you can't say, even that you agree with a policy, but you can't say, even that you agree with a poli without being immediately labeled as one or the other. I've been watching Bill Maher a lot because, to tell you the truth, I actually agree with him a lot, and he gets shit on all the time by the liberal Democrats. He constantly says, he's like, people are always saying that I have gotten conservative. I assure you, I am not. I am still the childless, pot-smoking libertine that I always have been. And he's right. If you go back and watch his 90s Politically Incorrect, it's the same dude. But the left has gone this way, and the fringe right has gone that way.
They've left there. I just know this. My grandparents were hardcore Democrats on that side, on my mom's side. And I'll just tell you this, in growing up in a Democratic family, and we all switched. I ended up being libertarian, then I ended up being Republican. But and my mom, my immediate family is Republican now. We name our dogs after Republican presidents, their children and their wives. Except I'm ashamed because I had a great awakening with Bush. My cognitive dissonance hurt me big time with Bush. But I have it on my website, Ambush, like I'm ambushed, but A-M lowercase and capital B-U-S-H, ambush. So anyway, my Jeb is still alive. GW, George W. I had to put down a couple years ago, but Jeb is still here with me.
Did you put the dogs down because they were shitty presidents?
No. GW
I'm
had
sorry,
cancer.
I had to.
He had cancer. I spent almost $18,000 total in cash for him to have surgeries and stuff. So he was a rescue. He's an American Bulldog. My other dog is American Bulldog and lab mix, Jeb, and he's blind and has diabetes. And I spend $700 a month on medication. So
he's still more effective than Jeb Bush. That's crazy. And cheaper.
I was liking how Marianne was still trying not to laugh through that. Sorry.
That's okay. We're really serious about dogs. We do dog rescue, everything here at my family. But
awesome.
But it's both parties. But I'll just tell you this: the Democrat Party, the roots that I remember, like all my family would talk about, and all the important aspects of it and everything. When I was very young, and I was Democrat too when I was young, I didn't know any better about the two-party system. It is not the same Democrat Party now. No. Like and I don't even know if the Republican Party is the same either. I can't even say the same. So it's
none of them are.
They just want to keep us divided. That's it.
Yeah.
Divided.
So my family, so Emily, kind of similarly, the way you were talking about people kind of switching. My family, I remember growing up and my parents would talk about being Republicans. They were diehard Republicans growing up. Massachusetts Republicans too, which I guess is pretty weird. But this is a long time ago, way back in the 80s, 90s. They were diehard Republicans. And then my dad, when I turned about 18, 19, he said, hey, you should just vote for the Green Party this year, your first year of voting. And I was like, fucking why? And he said, because it doesn't matter. He said, it doesn't matter. He said, who cares? He was talking about the two candidates and he's like, they're both terrible. So vote third party, vote for whoever, because whatever. And I think that's actually great because fuck the other two parties. However, this year and now, they are diehard Democrats to the core. After being Republican all growing up, they are diehard Biden supporters. They hate Trump, mostly just because they hate Trump. I think they're just anti-Trump.
Why? Yeah, hold on. Why? No. Have you asked them truly why they hate Trump? And do they have factual evidence behind that?
Bless you.
So I can't. It's very sensitive. They would call me pretty regularly and say like, hey, honey, did you get your vax? And I didn't want to start a fight with them because I live 3,000 miles away. The last time I saw them was in 2018, because I live in California and they live in Massachusetts and I can't afford to fly home every year. So I don't see them all the time. So when I talk to them, I try to speak about something else, but they would call me concerned. Like, did you get your vax? And I'm like, no, I'm good. Anyway, let's talk about literally anything else, please. So I can't talk about that with them because it would be the last thing I would want to talk about just because of circumstances. I get what you're saying, but
if they were here in person, it might be a little different.
It would be different. Yes. 100%.
Sit down and like go through the nuance of perspectives here and be like, no.
My parents were a perfect example of cognitive dissonance though. So my mom talked about VAERS statistics with me on the phone. Vaccine adverse reactions. She was like, oh yes, that happened. And then about 20 minutes with me and then said, but did you get your vaccine yet? Because I'm about to get my next booster and I just want to make sure you're okay.
And Jen
I'm like,
was just like,
I'm like, it was cognitive dissonance, like in my, I've never quite seen that before. And then my mom was also yelling because she was very upset that she got COVID for the first time after her first booster. And I was like, Mom, so there's only 2 reasons for that. Either the vaccine gave you COVID or it doesn't work. Those are the only 2 options. And I'm not saying that the vaccine gave you COVID.
Remember, if you get COVID, it means it's working.
Now it does because, the amnesty, whatever. Fuck that. Nope. But so I was like, Mom, you either got sick from the vaccine or the vaccine didn't work and you got sick. Like, that's it. Do you see that? And she's like, well, so anyway. And then we talked about something else and I let it go because I was like, okay.
Well, my parents are hardcore Republicans and they got the vax, and we can talk. I know time is ending here. We can talk about that another time or something. Come on. And now they both wish they listened to me and my brother and things. Some bad things happened to my parents, both of them. And they're the only ones that were vaxxed and boosted. My mom had 2 vax. My dad was vaxxed and boosted, and then they stopped it all. So, but
Joe, real quick from the end for me is I wanted to bring something up that you mentioned real quick before I forget it. You said, I'm sure if they were here, that basically that conversation would go a lot different. I think that's actually probably one of the biggest cruxes of our society today, is that if people wanted to actually sit down, turn their phones off, and have a conversation about hard things face to face, I think that we would see a whole different scenario. It doesn't happen anymore. It used to be that that's all you could do. And it used to be that when people wanted to talk about who they were voting for, they either watched TV, which was a lot more honest, not very long ago. As far as we know, I would just say that if you want to put, apples to apples, I feel like the news has always had a propaganda slant.
It's just more overtly bullshit now. Like
it's overtly bullshit.
It's baby boomers. It's the baby boomers.
They also got held a lot more accountable back in the day if they were caught lying. Not saying they didn't lie. I'm saying that if they were caught lying. But news propaganda aside, because we could go on that for a whole other tangent, it used to be that people sat down and they talked about it. You'd sit down with your neighbor, sit down with your family, talk. You would have these physical conversations. It wasn't over the phone. It wasn't over Skype. It wasn't what we're doing here, which, God forbid we aren't able to ever do this, because this is the only thing that I feel like keeps a lot of people sane in these times when they don't know what they can do to get out there or have a conversation or how to bring it up anymore. But we're raising a generation now that they'll say whatever the fuck they want on here, but they won't have those conversations in person. And when they do, they lose their fucking shit.
They shut down.
There's 2 things. 2 things. Baby boomer generation, which is my parents, that were MK Ultra, in my opinion. They were raised to believe the television, and the television, whatever came out, was the truth, and they believe it to this day. My brother and myself warned my mom and dad over and over, but my dad's glued to Fox News 12 hours a day. All right.
Oh, Jesus.
So then the people that do speak out and try to use social media, we are shadow banned, or we are banned off all social media. So the sit down conversations we might need to start doing that again, but I don't know if that's feasible because there's so many people that's been sucked into the system. I mean, how we got to reach masses, and that's why we got to get off our butts, stop waiting on a Q drop, and start fighting for what we believe in, and start showing up at these places and actually physically being there. And, if we want to tie in Christianity, I hate to tie that into this, but, Jesus was the modern day king. Everybody wanted to. There was people physically taking off the roof of a building to get to Jesus to make him king. All right. So what are we doing? We're just sitting here, not that Trump's king or anything. I'm a libertarian. I don't agree with Trump in all aspects. I don't agree with any leader in all aspects. But compared to no wars, no new wars, peace, we didn't have inflation, our gas prices were good, everything was happy. Like, why are we not fighting to get on the roof, rip off the roof to get him back into place? No, because everybody believes the plan. There we go. That's my box, and that's it. Marianne, I'm done for the night. Marianne, go.
And that's Emily out.
Yeah. What the frick, man? What the frick?
I think I know we're kind of at time, but I guess we ended on a good note there.
Yeah. I'm stoked with how that ended. That was very great. Very organic, Justin. I'm looking at you. Well, before we get out of here, though, let everybody know where they can find you and anything you have upcoming in the future and all that good stuff.
I'll let Marianne end out on that.
Oh, where we can find What the Frick Live? We're on Instagram. We are on the Spirit Realm Network, Odyssey, Rumble. Where else? We have Twitter.
We have YouTube, but I'm pissed off at YouTube. We don't market YouTube. I lost everything in YouTube in 2021. I already got 2 strikes on me on YouTube, but if you want to look up What the Frick Live on YouTube, go right ahead. Support me. Give me a thumbs up. Subscribe while it's there.
Yeah, I'm thinking I might put this one on YouTube. Like, we don't really fuck with YouTube that much. I think we have 15 videos on there or something. But I'm just trying to test the water out and see like how far I can push our weird. I didn't put my David Icke interview on there because I was like, that might be a little too far. Yeah. I think YouTube would probably ask me immediately with David Icke. But yeah. Well, thanks, you guys. Appreciate you coming on. Anything else you got to add, Emily?
Wednesday night will be live 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Spirit Realm Network and our Rumble account, What the Frick Live. We have Tom Althouse. He was the original author of The Matrix. The stuff that went on behind this script is absolutely bonkers. This goes into Pat Robertson, 700 Club, and his sex trafficking ring. I don't know if you can put this on YouTube now, but it goes so deep. This is part 3. This is the only show we've ever had part 3 on. But he is the original author. They have blackballed him. They have censored him. They've killed his 2 children. This is crazy. It's deep. But Wednesday night, 9 p.m. What the Frick Live, Tom Althouse, our part 3. Only 3 parts I've ever had.
Wow. All right.
Awesome. Well, everybody tune into that. Thanks everybody on Rockfin, Brighteon, maybe YouTube if this goes out on YouTube, I'm not sure. But of course, the audio listeners. And for the people who don't listen, fuck off. We love you too.